Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Can you tell how excited I am to actually be talking to you guys? I feel like it's been a minute, even though it really hasn't. I guess it's just me feeling like I want to talk and talk. Anyway, how are you doing? How is everything for you? How are things unfolding for you? Can you believe we are literally halfway done with the year? Like, yeah, it's halfway done. Have you achieved what you set out to achieve? Are you struggling? For me, I'll be honest, I feel like my mind is everywhere. I have bits here, and it's just like I'm confused. I am confused, literally. Also, Australian winter is something else because the temperature outside is the same as the temperature in the house. I do not know how that happens. If it's -0 outside, it's -0 inside. -4, it can't be -0, but you know what I mean. So we are trying to, rather I am trying to keep warm, making sure I do not get the flu or anything, and I stay safe during this winter. I don't know how it is in the Americas because I have never been to Americas, but here in winter, there's no snow, but it is cold. Also, new hair, hoodies. The thing about living abroad is you have to carry your hair. When you go back to Kenya, you come back with hair. Otherwise, it's gonna be expensive, or you're gonna get the same thing over and over again. So the last time I was in Kenya, I purposed to make sure that I'm carrying what I want to be made. So like, my salonist had never heard of these braids, but I told her, do this, and she was like, I love these. Where did you get them from? Who knows? I might just start a business. Who knows? Anyway, I feel like I'm just rambling. But yeah, I just wanted to catch you guys on what's been happening in my life. I attended a conference. By the time you're watching this, I will have attended a conference and presented my first ever conference regarding, of course, my thesis. And it's interesting to actually see, because my thesis is about social media activism, and my case study was someone in Kenya, or rather a group in Kenya. And it's interesting to see, of course, with the Reject Finance Bill and all that, how social media is still being used, not on its own because people had to go to the streets, but social media was used to rally people, and people are actually using their platforms to amplify the voices of the marginalized. So it's just like I had something here when I was researching on social media as a tool for activism. So yeah, just looking at that and then presenting again on a group of marginalized people in Kenya, it was just like, yeah, it's not really full circle, but it's somewhere there. I don't know the word to use, but yeah, that has been pretty exciting for me as well. Anyway, I feel like I've rambled. Let's get into this video. This is Lisa from the future. Now, before we get into today's video, I just wanted to talk about the situation happening in Kenya. I am so proud that as young people, we are finally standing for ourselves and making our voices heard. In as much as I wish I was there physically in the streets with you guys, I am still in solidarity with all of you. Here's to change. Here's to making sure our voices are heard. So after living abroad for a while, there's certain observations that I have made, and I thought it would be nice to share with you, so that if you're thinking of moving abroad, if you're thinking of living abroad, if you can relate, you can sort of like get to hear from me and see if this is something for you, if maybe this is what you've heard other people go through, if you've gone through this, you know what I mean. So yeah, that's the basis of today's video. Now, one of the things, of course, about living abroad is that you have to sort of embrace different cultures and make them your own in a certain way. And it's been interesting because Australia is not cultural because there's so many cultures, like people from all over the world here. But then you get to realize one of the things, for example, for me that was a bit different was the fact that in Kenya I was so used to like the holidays, especially religious holidays other than Christmas, being celebrated and being made like a whole holiday. Now here it is only Christmas that is a religious holiday. So it's like all the other days are normal, and it's like I need some rest. So yeah, it's funny being in the workforce and then still working on these days when literally people in Kenya are celebrating and you're like, oh, I don't know. But the good thing is, obviously here with the other holidays, they obviously pay slightly higher when you work during those holidays. So that's, I guess, the plus side. But then the bad side is that, of course, the culture here doesn't celebrate all religious holidays. So that means that holiday you think you're gonna get, you're probably not gonna get. So yeah, but of course you have to adapt and move on. Now, moving here and sort of my way of life, and I think it applies to many people, not just people who've moved, but people who also have lived here all their lives, is that things, especially food wise, have been made so much easier. So like you'll go to the supermarket and find like frozen food ready for you to defrost, microwave and eat. Now these are in supermarkets in Kenya, but being from a place where my mom would make meals literally from scratch, like even pizza we made from scratch, chips we made from scratch, obviously buying potatoes and then having to cut them, literally everything I think we made from scratch. Even burgers, I do not remember a time where we literally just went to the supermarket and bought frozen stuff and then cooked them. Even when I was living alone back in Kenya, I was making things from scratch because that's what I've always known. Now coming here and seeing all that, it's like, okay, the food here, number one, is bland, and then number two, obviously there's so many options that are, I guess, faster in a way, because the way of life here is people want things quick, no waiting. People do not have patience to cook. Many people also, I've realized, do not know how to cook, so they get these meals and they literally just microwave them. In Kenya it's a bit different because the way you're raised, at least you sort of need to know how to cook certain things. You may not be like a whole chef, but the very basics you will know how to cook. Here it's very different. Still on food is that, of course, there's more variety in terms of different cuisines. Like I mentioned in my first point, it's because there's people from literally everywhere. So if you want Vietnamese food, you can find. If you want Mexican food, you can find. If you want African food from different African cultures, you can find. If you want Indian food, of course, you can find Chinese food. Like it's literally a stone throw away. And where I moved, actually, there's so many restaurants so close by, like 5 minutes away from where I live. So it's just like, what do I feel like eating today? Do I feel like eating Filipino? Let's go, sort of thing. But yeah, that's something I have found more here compared to, of course, Kenya. Another thing I have observed and I did not know was that as Kenyans, we have an accent. I didn't know we have accents until I came here, and obviously when you're interacting in English with other people, you realize, hey, this is how I sound. Not in a bad way, but I actually have an accent, so sort of thing. And it's funny because people from Kenya, when I sort of say hi to people and I'm like, oh, you're from Kenya? And they're like, yeah. Are you from Kenya? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you don't sound Kenyan. I'm like, so the other day I met someone and they're like, are you from South Africa? I was like, should I start calling myself Mzansi? I don't even If that's funny, but you know what I mean. So it's like the language is of course English, but then the fact that everyone has an accent, like there's the Australian accent, then there's the Kenyan accent that I guess I may or may not have depending on people I interact with. There's obviously the American accent and all that. For me, I did not know as Kenyans we have accents. I knew obviously American accent, British accent and all that, but I have observed that we have an accent and I have accepted that. Another thing I have observed that is very huge here is sort of like the work-life balance. It's a bit more pronounced, and of course this is just daily life and routine, I guess. So people would literally maybe work 7 to 3 p.m. By 3 p.m. they're out, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, and they're out of the office. And you'll realize that there's so many people hanging out in pubs and bars, especially in the city. If you go to the city around 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m., you'll see so many people on the rooftop bars, and you're like, wow, this is different. This is different. Like in Kenya, I think many cooperative people usually hang out for drinks on like Fridays when they know they're not gonna go to the office on Saturday, or they will go maybe later on. So it's like few, and I guess that's because obviously there's traffic. Obviously by the time you get home you're so tired and you just wanna sleep and wake up and go to work the next day. While here, of course there's traffic, but it's not as bad as it is in Kenya. So people are more into leisure, people are more into enjoying things out of work, so to speak, which I find very interesting. And like I mentioned, even in terms of like food and stuff, people do not want to stay in the kitchen for long, so they get takeout, they get ready meals that they can just microwave. One thing that I realized I also did was, because I felt like I didn't have time, especially when I was still at uni, is I had uni, I had work, I had assignments to do. So I was like, there's no time. So all I would do, I would either get the frozen meals or cook meal prep literally on one day, meal prep for the whole week. And then after that, I'm just taking out the same food from the fridge. It's not really nice because sometimes you're craving something that you didn't make, but then because you cooked, you have to eat. So yeah, that I guess is something many people do, the meal prep thing, as well as of course leisure compared to just staying home and being a homebody like I am. Another thing of course is housing, which is very different. I've talked about this and how you have to apply for housing like you're applying for a job. If you don't follow me on TikTok, please do, because I broke down how I was able to secure a house. But it's basically how you have to have like a housing CV, so to speak, and you're literally convincing someone to take you in as a tenant. It's not like you're buying the house, like you're gonna pay them, but you have to show that you are a good candidate. That is tough. That is tough, my friends. Another thing I have observed, and I don't know if this is just a me issue or it's something that other people have observed, friendships are very surface level. And for example, if you didn't know someone maybe years back, it's a bit different than maybe knowing someone now, getting to know someone now and making them your friend. A funny story is, let me tell you, I was on a dating app. I know, I was on a dating app, but this dating app is also a friends making app. So I was on the friends making side, and I was trying to because I was like, I need to be more outgoing. So I decided, let me get onto this app, let me see who I can meet, what friends and all that. I got into the app. If you know me, you know me and my phone are inseparable. But once I got into this app, I found it so draining to talk to this person about myself, talk to the other person about myself, talk to this person about myself. it was just too much for me, and at the end of the day I just deleted my profile and left the app. To this day, I don't know, that was 2 years ago. So to this day, I don't know if the people I was talking to and left hanging thought that I was just a robot or a ghost or whatever. I never met anyone, but I just found it draining. Every time I would look at my phone and there's a pop-up message and they're asking this, I would just be so tired. So I was just like, yeah, I guess you have to go out of your way to make friends here. And by out of your way, I mean out of your way. Like, naturally you have to go out of your way, but here I feel like you have to go all out of your way to make friends. So that's it on some of the observations I have made in my time living abroad. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And I'd also love to get to hear and know about your experiences and observations so far. If you're thinking of moving, I hope this helps in its own little way. And if you know someone who's also thinking of moving, make sure you forward this video to them. I will see you in my next one as usual. Make sure you subscribe. Bye.